Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 14th, 2024 meeting of the Zoning Hearing Board for the City of Reading. I'm going to introduce our board members. Charlie?
Charlie Jones, alternate member of the board.
Tom?
Tom Fox, member of the board.
Bill?
Bill Hars, member of the board.
Jeff?
Jeff Catone, member of the board.
Phil Rubina, member of the board. Steve?
Steve Price, solicitor to the board.
Emily?
Emily D'Aranda, zoning office.
Okay, thank you all. The first matter we have before us is a decision. It was Appeal 2023-15, 1849 Perkiomen Avenue. Mr. Price is going to take that. I did not attend that meeting, so I will not be voting. Mr. Price.
Thanks. Is there a motion to approve the relief requested as modified at last month's hearing, subject to the conditions in the written decision?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion and a second by Catone and Hars. Are there questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 All
Aye.
opposed? Ayes have it. That was the only decision to be rendered.
That is correct.
We have two cases.
Yes, we have two continued cases. Appeal 2023-16, which is 1238 Locust Street. They have permission to continue. They're dealing with a bank, and so we'll continue that for a period of time. And also Appeal 2024-01, which is 532 Elm Street. They have asked for a continuance due to a personal matter, and I will make a motion to grant that continuance. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's a continuance for Elm Street, right?
That is correct. Yes.
I thought we were supposed to hear from the final thing about Locust Street, that it was going to be by tonight, or it was going to go back to what we had, the initial, or am I mistaken?
I think Emily's heard that had some response from the bank, so the idea was to give them maybe another 30 days.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I think that was, as I recall, that was it.
Okay.
All right. Our first appeal this evening is 2024-02, 320 North 9th Street. And excuse me if I pronounce this incorrectly. Shalacy Architects Limited, care of Mark Shalacy, is seeking a special exception for adaptive reuse to establish 4 dwelling units and a commercial use on the first floor front. The subject is located in the CR Commercial Residential Zoning District, and the owner of record is Victor Mejia. Would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
Ma'am, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Price?
Thanks. I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5, pardon me, is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended.
Okay, is the applicant present? You're muted, sir. You have to unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
There we go. Now I'm on.
Okay, all right. Are you represented by counsel or are you representing yourself?
Counsel, I believe it's Mark.
Actually, I'm the architect. I'm not the I'm not the attorney, but that's
Oh.
okay.
Okay. So the client is representing themselves?
I think
Yes.
that's representing the client.
Okay, then let's swear them in, please.
Okay, can I have your names first, please?
Yeah, wait.
Do you want mine first?
Somebody-
No, I do see yours, the
Okay.
applicants.
Victor
Who's the
Mejia.
applicant?
Victor Mejia.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
We
Is he
want to
the
swear
same-
you in, okay?
Okay, sir, can you raise your right hand, please?
Levanta la mano derecha.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Jura decir la verdad, solo la verdad.
Yes, yes.
Okay, bájalo.
Okay. All right. Why don't you just briefly tell us what you want to do? And then I have some questions for our zoning officer. So,
Que brevemente le diga lo que tú quieres decirle, lo que tú quieres hacer en la propiedad.
Because we don't have an official interpreter, right?
I was gonna say, do you want me to explain it,
Yeah,
Bianca?
let's just have the
Yes.
architect
Yeah,
sworn.
I can give you a brief overview, obviously, what we're doing. Obviously, it's an existing building.
Wait,
all right, now wait, we have to swear you in. We got to swear
You
you.
have to be sworn in. Swear in the architect.
Sure, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. Why don't you explain to us what you're going to do and so forth?
Okay. Obviously, existing building, there are 3 floors to the building. What they would like to do is make the first floor partial, or probably 3/4 of it, a retail space, and then we'd be adding 4 additional apartments throughout that floor and the second and the third floor. And they have combined the 2 properties into one property so that they have the ample parking spaces adjacent to that, and now they're all on the same property.
Are there existing apartments in this building now?
No.
Were there ever apartments in the building?
Bianca, I might ask you that. Do you know that? I don't know that answer.
Well, did you see existing bathrooms or anything like that?
There are-
Yes,
It looks like there was some office space.
I'm sorry, the building used to be owned by the family for over 100 years, apparently. They used to have it, and the previous owner told me that it was in the city files as 2 apartments, but they took it off. So they used it as a family, I guess the family that owned the business, and the building used to live on the upper. So in the records of the city, the owner told me it should show that it used to be a two apartments.
And then they used it as a family residence?
Correct, yes.
Emily, have you looked at the history of this building?
From what I remember, we didn't have anything detailing the dwelling units. Let me look back 1 second.
Okay.
There was a permit from 2007 that converted the second floor into storage. So at some point there may have been, but the actual residence itself was taken out at some point, and the whole building was then deemed as commercial. They were using it either for whatever on the first floor and then storage on the upper floors.
In your opinion, there's ample square footage for these 4 apartments and there's appropriate parking next door?
Yes, and they actually annexed it was originally 3 separate parcels, and they annexed all 3 parcels together so that way that parking can be maintained with the property. So there is sufficient parking, and the habitable area meets zoning.
So this adaptive reuse is consistent with the zoning ordinance?
It is.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Yeah, and I guess also, I think there was a recommendation that the parking lot should be repaved and the spaces should be marked by painted lines and wheel blocks. Is that correct, Emily?
Yes, just that's gonna be required anyways during the land development phase, but I figured I'd put in the staff report for emphasis.
And that's
Right.
understood.
Okay. All right. Any members of the board have any questions? I can't see you, so you'll have to speak up.
There you go.
Any board members have any questions? All right. Anybody in the audience have any questions? Seeing none. Anybody wish to add anything to this presentation? It looks like everything's pretty well in order. So, and am I correct? Will all be on one deed, correct?
That's
Yes,
right.
I believe Mark is in the process of recording
Yes.
all of that at the county.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Unless somebody else has anything to add, we'll close this appeal. A decision will be issued at next month's meeting. You need not be here, and the decision will be mailed to you. But it's always kind of a pleasure to see something that meets all the requirements. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
For the applicants before they get off, can I have Bianca's last name, please?
I didn't
I
understand.
think she logged off. It's Mejia as
Yeah,
well.
Mejia.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
The
thank
next,
you.
the next appeal is 2024-03. It is 1262 Cotton Street. Manuel Nuez is appealing the determination of the zoning officer. The applicant seeks a change from one non-conforming use to another non-conforming use, 600-607. In the alternative, the applicant seeks a variance of section 600-804B, permitted uses, and 600-1603, off-street parking requirements. The overall goal of the application is to establish a personal service, a barber shop. The subject property is located in the R3 residential zoning district, and the owner of record is Batista Investments LLC. Would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
You're muted.
All right. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Price.
All right, I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended. Ms. London, I believe, represents the applicant, Mr. Rabina.
Okay, so we'll have, before you, or once you've entered your appearance, why don't we swear in everybody that we need to so we can keep things moving, or you can do an offer of proof, whichever way you want to do it.
Sure. I'll enter my appearance first. Joan, middle initial E, London, London. Kozloff Stout, 2640 Westview Drive, Wyomissing 19610. There are 3 witnesses: Antonio Batista, Lou Massiotti, and Manuel Nunez, the applicant. I'd like to put on some just some brief testimony for Mr. Batista. I believe he can testify without the interpreter. Mr. Batista, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. You
I
hear
see.
me?
Okay. Can we have
Okay,
all
he
the
has to be sworn in.
Yes. Why don't you swear in Mr. Batista, Mr. Massiotti, and Mr. Nunez?
Sure. Can the 3 of you raise your right hands, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right. Okay, I'll take Mr. Batista first. Mr. Batista, what is your full name?
Antonio Batista.
Are you a managing member of Batista Investments LLC, owning the property at 1262 Cotton Street?
Yes,
Was the prior use of the property a bar?
yes,
And when you purchased the property, was the space downstairs the former bar space?
yes,
Did you make any changes to the downstairs space since you bought it?
no,
And is that space empty now?
yes,
And is there an apartment upstairs?
yes,
Is it being used as an apartment?
yes.
Did that property have any off-street parking when you purchased it?
No.
What do you want to do with the space?
The first floor, I want to do the barber shop. I'm renting for the Mr. Nunez.
Okay, is Mr. Nunez standing next to you?
Yes,
Okay, have you had plans, drawn for the barber shop by, Louis Massiotti Architects?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the surrounding neighborhood?
Uh, I have a house next, but I don't have any family around.
Okay, but you have a house in the surrounding neighborhood, so you know the
Yes.
neighborhood?
Yeah.
And how would you describe the neighborhood?
It's nice people, it's quiet people. They don't have a problem. I asked somebody, they don't have a problem with the barber shop there.
Okay, are there, houses and businesses in the neighborhood?
Houses and business too. They have a grocery and it's all 2 blocks down. It's have the barber shop.
Okay, would having a barber shop at 1262 Cotton Street change the neighborhood in any way?
No,
Okay, and do you believe it would have any negative, impacts or disruption of the neighborhood?
no.
Are you trying to get parking spaces?
Yes, I sent a message to the owner to the Cotton and 1,300 Cotton Street. It's was a laundry. It's closed now, but they told me when the people have the barber shop, they can figure it out. They can rent the parking, but they have to open the barber shop for the rent of the parking. It's across the street to my building.
Okay, and that is across that former laundromat with parking is across the street,
Yes,
and they're willing to rent parking spaces to you?
yes.
And how many spaces do you believe you might be able to rent?
I asked them for 2 parking. They said it's no problem. If I want more, they can get it more. But I asked for 2.
Okay, but you're making this request based on the fact that there has never been off-street parking for that building in the past, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, now I'd just like to ask a few questions of Mr. Nunez, and I understand that he will need the interpreter.
Okay, and who is our interpreter?
So I emailed him, had confirmed that he was going to be on, but he is not on currently.
Okay, all right, well, I will do this. The applicant's present. I believe that there is a limited understanding of English. But Mr. Batista can explain everything to him afterwards, but I won't ask him to try to testify in being that I'm not sure that he would fully understand the question to be able to answer accurately. I'd like to call Louis Massiotti.
Mr. Massiotti? Well, doesn't appear he's here.
Okay, well,
Why don't you just put it off for proof, Joe?
Yeah.
okay,
that'd
that would be fine, because the plan that was drawn up by Mr. Massiotti for 1262 Cotton Street is attached to the application. It shows the lower floor of the property as a barber shop. And if the zoning administrator could share that on the screen, the board could look at it on the screen. Although if the board has hard copy packets, that would be in the packet as well. What is shown is 4 barber chairs, 2 shampoo sinks, storage and restroom areas. It would not change the footprint of the building or the height of the building in any way. It's simply a ground floor commercial use. It would be a neighborhood commercial type of business, the type of business that gentlemen in the neighborhood would walk to, being that it is a small neighborhood commercial barber shop. And it is the conversion of vacant space, empty space, to a productive commercial use. And we're asking for the variances to allow this neighborhood commercial use in a mixed-use neighborhood, and also for parking if spaces can't be obtained. It is approximately, I believe it's 680 square feet. The square footage is on the plan. We are asking that the parking, there be consideration given to reducing the parking requirement to the 1 space per 500 square
What we
feet.
start doing here?
Because this is a a neighborhood commercial type of use, and the zoning hearing board provides for it as with the section cited in the application.
And I think it's important for the board to remember, this was proposed to be a Pentecostal church at one time, which you denied, and then an appeal went up. And I think that appeal is either languishing or has been dismissed, but it was gonna be a much more intense use, up to 30 or 40 people there at, for services.
That's right, and the prior use, the prior use was a bar, so both uses would be far more intrusive on the neighborhood than a barber shop would be.
All right, any board members have questions, please? You want to put them
No.
all back on the screen so I can see?
Yep. There you go.
Okay, questions? All right, I have one question. I noticed there's 4 barber chairs, so that would mean that there would be 4 employees. Is that correct?
Dice que hay 4 sillas de barbería. ¿Eso quiere decir que va a tener 4 barberos todo el tiempo o cómo va a funcionar?
Inicialmente, 2 conmigo.
For a start, he want to start hanging with the guy because he started the business. He know how the business coming there, but he make it with the 4, but he don't use every time the 4 chair. In the beginning, he started with 2.
Okay,
Right,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Nunez is a licensed, I should have said, Mr. Nunez is a licensed barber in Pennsylvania, and the all employees would be under his supervision as required by professions and occupation statutes.
okay. My concern was, and again, going back to parking, we've got 4 employees and then we've got, other people who, obviously clients that would come in. And I was just wondering, do they expect the other barbers to be from the neighborhood or local people?
So Phil,
Yeah.
in regards to the parking, currently the way that we would determine the number of parking spaces isn't by employees or available chairs, but it's the overall square footage of
Okay,
the space. So they're
Right.
only required to have 2 parking spaces.
Right, because
That
it's
will change in the future though.
okay,
there is, right, as of now, the zoning ordinance treats this type of personal service business the same as retail.
all right, that answers my question. Thank you very much. Are there any questions from anybody in the audience?
¿Tiene alguna pregunta usted para hacer a ellos?
No, está bien.
Anything else you would like to add? Ms.
No,
Bennett?
nothing else to add.
Okay, if that closes things out, we'll close this appeal. We'll issue a decision at next month's meeting. You need not be here. The decision will be mailed to you, and we thank everybody for their participation.
Thank you.
And for our last hearing, we have Appeal 2024-04, 364 Blair Avenue. Tools to Learn Childcare LLC, care of Omega Avertes, is seeking special exception to establish a daycare facility and a variance for the outdoor play area. The subject property is located in the MC Manufacturing Commercial Zoning District, and the owner of record is Reading Storage, 1136 Windsor Street, LLC. Would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Price.
Thanks. I'll put some exhibits in. Exhibit number 1 is a notice of the hearing. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended. I just wanted to ask Emily one question before we got into the meat and potatoes here. Emily, is this proposed facility across from what is called the Tivoli Social Club?
I do not know.
Is it across the river from Bear Park?
Yes,
Okay, so that's maybe about 700 feet away, Bear Park.
maybe. I'm not too familiar with that area. The owner is on. If you wanted to ask him, he could probably answer that question better than I can.
Yeah, I just wanted to get oriented. Okay, thanks. I'll turn it
Yeah,
back.
I would be glad to, once Mr. McFadden is sworn, I'd be glad to ask him.
Okay, are you representing them, Ms. London?
I am representing Ms. Everett, yes.
Okay, all right. You enter your appearance, and then we'll swear in anybody that you have to testify.
Okay, thank you. Joan, middle initial E, London, London, Kozloff Stout, 2640 Westview Drive, Wyomissing 19610 for applicant Tools to Learn Childcare LLC. I'm going to be putting on the testimony of Omega Everts, Miguel Herrera, and to answer any questions about the property, please also swear in Ryan McFadden.
Okay, fine. Why don't we swear those people in at this time?
All three of you raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. All right, go ahead, Ms. London. Ms. London.
All right, the first witness, Omega Everts.
Yes,
Okay, Ms. Everts, could you, are you a member of Tools to Learn Childcare LLC?
yes, I'm a managing member.
And does Tools to Learn Childcare LLC have an agreement with Reading Storage LLC, which owns the property at 364 Blair Avenue, for a lease for a childcare center on the property?
Yes, if we get the needed zoning approval, yes.
A child care center is permitted as a special exception in the zoning district in which the property is located, but you're asking for a variance from the city's outdoor play area. Is that correct?
Yes,
I'm going to ask you some questions about the proposed child care center. Will the proposed center be a licensed child care center by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania?
yes,
Is zoning approval one of the items needed for licensure?
yes. It will be, mhm.
What will be the hours of operation of the proposed child care center?
Yes, it will be from 9 a.m. to, 5 a.m. to 9 p.m.
You know, most child care centers are daycare centers, but the center you propose has longer hours. Why do you have hours outside of the usual 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. timeframe?
Yes, because many jobs, especially manufacturers and healthcare, have hours outside of usual 9 to 5 workday, and parents in those jobs have even more difficult time to find any childcare.
How many children will be enrolled?
Up to 50 children.
And approximately how many staff will the center employ?
Up to will depends on the children, up to 10. But it will depends on the children's ratio of and children's adult depends on their age.
Okay, are you talking about the ratios in the state regulations for daycare that you need a certain number of adults per child based on their ages?
Correct.
And what will be the age range of children enrolled?
Infant to 12.
It will all be there at the same time?
No, it will be staggered between before and after school care, all day and different time.
And will that also mean staggered parent and caregiver drop off and pickup times?
Yes.
Will you have a secure area for drop off and pickup of children?
Yes.
Where will that be located?
It will be in front of the facility. There's also like a handicap entrance. Like it will be right in front of it, of the facility, of
Will
the
it be
center.
away- will it be away from traffic?
Yes.
Can you please describe the safety and security features of the proposed daycare center? or child-
Reception and area. It will have alarm cameras, alarm security cameras, parents signing in and out also.
Okay, and we'll further discuss the layout with Mr. Herrera, but you've asked for a variance on the issue of an outdoor play area. Is there space on the property for an outdoor play area?
No, it can be indoor and outdoor.
Okay, but you don't have, there's not, are you saying there's not sufficient room on the property for,
outside down.
for outside? Now, under state regulations, 55 Pennsylvania Code 3270.62, which we've cited in your application, can a play area be indoors or outdoors?
Yes, under the regulation, the played area has to be suitable for large muscles activities such as running, jumping, climbing, and riding. And it can be 60 square feet per child. It can be 40 square feet per infant and 50 square feet per toddler. And it can be for any other activity also.
Okay, I just want to correct one thing. Is it 65 square feet for older children?
Yeah, per child. Yeah.
Right. Does the property have any other space that would work for an outdoor play area?
No.
Does the indoor play area that you propose meet the required area and exclusive use restrictions?
Yes.
Okay, and will the indoor play area proposed, and we'll show it in the plans under Mr. Herrera's testimony, will that be in full compliance with state law?
Yes.
Is the center near another child care center?
Yes.
Okay, and how does the center that you're proposing differ?
It offer for childcare of parents who work outside of normal hours, 9 to 5.
Yeah, is it difficult for parents who work outside of a typical 9 to 5 day to find childcare?
Yes.
And is childcare difficult to find anyway?
Yes, lack of childcare is serious problem, especially like in my case, I work to like 7 p.m., but my daycare, the one that I have for my child, they only open up to 5. So I had to get somebody to pick her up. So it's like very lack of childcare with extending hours.
So you're talking from your personal experience.
From my personal experience, yes.
Will having the center with an indoor play area, if the variance is granted, change the character of the neighborhood in any way?
No, it's a mix of use neighborhood.
Okay, will the center have any negative effects such as traffic, noise, or neighborhood disruption?
No, this is a commercial and industrial area, and no neighbor will be disturbed. Our community and this center will always provide safe and reasonable price accessible child care for working in their parents serves shift and outside on usual 9 to 5. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. Sorry.
Well, it's okay. It's fine. It's nothing to be afraid of here. Would there be any safety hazards relating coming from this use?
No.
Would the center be run in accordance with state regulations?
Yes.
Okay, would all the activities be inside the building?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
If the indoor play area is allowed, will all activities be inside the building?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have any further questions.
I just have one question of this lady. Do you currently have your certification from the state?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have. Any other board members have any questions?
Yes, a question. I have a question. And this is thanks to Emily, she happened to remind us that, she wanted to remind us that we did approve a daycare. It was at the same address. I looked it up, looked up the decision in 2019. Is this, what happened to that one that we approved in 2019? Or is this an additional one at that same address? I'm trying to get this figured out in my mind.
I'm gonna answer that. It would be
Go
an
ahead.
additional one. There was Ms. Everett's testified to a nearby child daycare. It's on
Yes.
the property next door. That is correct.
Same address.
It is the same address, and Mr. McFadden can answer any questions about that as he is the owner of the property. So I'd be happy to have him answer any questions.
No,
you
no,
have.
that's fine. It's just, it had that legal thing there, AKA, and then what the heck? Now, I thank Emily raised my attention. I looked up the decision. So it is just another one at the same property.
It would be another one it would be another one on that property next door. The difference is that, and Ms. Everett's testified to it, that this daycare would provide some extended hours to help parents who are shift workers and don't work in the traditional 9 to 5 shifts. Not a 24-hour daycare center, but it has hours that would be much more user-friendly for parents who are working in manufacturing or healthcare in particular. I'm sure there are other occupations as well. So there is a definite need, and that is the distinction there. I am aware that as part of a special exception, daycares in the neighborhood and on that block can be considered, but there is a difference here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? All right, Ms. London, continue.
I'd like to call Miguel Herrera.
Yes, I'm here, Ms. London.
Okay, thank you. I understand you're having some problems with your video camera, so just do the best we can. The audio seems to be working.
Yeah, can you hear me right?
I can hear you. Can the board hear you? Can the board hear Mr. Herrera?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
just try to speak up and get as close in as you can. Could you state your name and business address?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Miguel Herrera. I work with Milan Consulting Group. Our address is 144 North 50th Street, Suite 301.
Okay, and what type of work do you perform?
We provide architectural consulting services.
Okay, and how long have you been performing this type of work?
I have a combined experience of more than 20 years.
We can recognize Mr. Herrera as a draftsperson
Yeah.
who can prepare blueprints.
All right. All right, thank you. Are you familiar with the property at 364 Blair Avenue?
Yes, I am.
Is the property in use now?
No, the property is vacant.
Okay, and have you prepared any plans for this property?
Yes, I prepared the plans that we are seeing on the screen.
All right, and could you go to the first page of the plans? Is that an aerial photo with a view of the property and building?
Yes, this is a satellite view showing the location of the neighborhood on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, we see a location map in reference to the city.
Okay. Now, I'd like you to go to the second page. Okay, now is this the existing building front, side, and rear views?
Yes, we are seeing floor plans of the upper level and the lower level, and we are seeing 4 building sections of the building.
Okay, of a 2-level building?
Oh, yes, we're seeing both floors on the section.
Now I'd like you to go to the third page. Okay, now going to the third page, does this show parking?
Yes, we are showing parking in front of the building and at the rear of the building.
And
Front portion,
and how many spaces in front?
9 spaces plus 1 handicap accessible space.
And how about in back? How many spaces are available?
We identified that there can be 12 parking spaces.
Okay, 12 parking spaces in the rear, so 12 and 9 or 12 and 10?
Yeah, that will be a total of 22.
Okay, now on that same page, there are 2 photos. Can you tell us what those show?
Yes, the top picture shows an aerial view of the property from the northwest view. The lower portion, the lower picture shows an street view from the northeast side.
Okay, and that's what the, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to highlight that there is an existing handicap accessible ramp to access the upper level, and also that would be the space identified for pickup and drop off of the children.
Okay, now looking at the 4th page, what is shown there?
Okay, here we are seeing the proposed use of the upper level. We have labeled every space with based on the different ages of the children, and also spaces for the employees and complementary uses for the operations of the daycare.
Okay, and are there, and so there it shows separate areas for infants, toddlers, and older children, as well as employee areas?
Yes, and as I say, we have labeled all these spaces according to the intended use of each space. So
Okay, now I'd like you to go to the last page.
Okay, this is the proposed layout of the lower level that has direct exit and entrance from the lower parking lot located at the rear of the property. And at this level, we are proposing the indoor playground area and handicap accessible restrooms.
Okay, and what are the dimensions of the play areas?
Well, the whole space is proposed to be the playground. I mean, when I say the whole space, I mean the whole lower level. The total area of that space is 2,303 square feet. And there will be just 2 more handicap accessible restrooms in there. So we would say that the total space for the proposed playground is around 2,200 square feet.
Okay, were you present on this call during Ms. Everett's testimony?
Yes, I was.
Do you believe that there's any outdoor area which could safely be used for a play area meeting the dimensions required by the state regulations?
I don't think that there is any space close to the property to provide that, no.
Okay, and is that because of the way the property is configured?
No, not just that, but there's no a place that I can see close to the building, and also meeting the distance required by the zoning ordinance that can provide that use.
Okay, do you believe that granting the variance to allow for just an indoor play area will have any negative impacts?
I don't think so. And if I may say, I was also assisting the daycare that is existing close to this building. I was involved on the process when they presented the project to the zoning hearing board, and we have to answer the same type of questions that we are answering now. So I think that this is a good use for that building.
Okay, do you think the 2 daycare centers would complement each other?
Of course. I mean, and I'm glad that you mentioned the difference that Mrs. Everett will have and the intention that she has for the center that will be able to meet a lot of parents' necessities by offering different shifts for the care of the kids.
Okay, are all opinions offered with a reasonable degree of professional certainty?
Of course.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
All right. Any members of the board have any questions of Mr. Herrera?
Yes, I have the a question. I'm sorry, I'm asking these. I just need to get straight. I'm looking at this wonderful drawing. I just need to get, when we discuss this, there's 12 spaces, parking spaces indicated, and then 9 other ones sort of in the rear. Are those, let's say 20 spaces approximately, are they dedicated to the current applicant's use, or are they shared with the other daycare center? Those 20 spaces, what's the story on those approximately 20 spaces?
I believe that the best one to answer that question would be Ryan McFadden, who's already been sworn. Mr. McFadden, could you answer that question?
Yes, the other daycare has a determined amount of parking spaces dedicated to them. When they applied for their permit, I believe it's like maybe around 6 or so, and those are for them. This daycare would have all the spaces in front of their building, as well as all the spaces in the back of the building on the lower level. If by any chance they need extra spaces that more than that, which I doubt they would, if they did, we do have other spaces on the property for rent that we could come into an agreement with them for even additional spaces if we needed.
Are they going to be marked off dedication daycare center A and then daycare center B, just so there's no confusion, people getting angry about not having spaces, taking it upon themselves? Is that a consideration to mark them? If we put that in, that they're dedicated so-and-so, each one dedicated especially to the daycare center, each one.
Yeah.
We could absolutely do that if that was required. There was a marketing firm, DeBryan marketing firm in this space where this Omega wants to put her daycare, and that marketing firm and the existing daycare operated fine for probably at least a year or two, and with no issues.
Okay, so it is a shared effect. Okay.
A question that, and this is for Mr. McFadden, that came up in the staff review. Is there still public storage on the property?
Yes.
And where is the parking for the public storage?
So there really isn't parking for the stores. They park in front of their unit. They drive to their unit, they park, they unload, they do what they want to do, and then they leave. You know, we also have upwards, I'd have to count them, but upwards of maybe 15 more parking spots on the property that we rent out to people, which I could also rent to the daycare if they needed. However, we rent those out because anyone using our storage facility just parks in front of their garage.
And that is an in and out type of use, not more than a few minutes, most likely. Is that correct?
Usually yes, but there are people on that site that do stay longer. It is an industrial area, so there are people that stay longer, but again, they park in front of their unit and do what they need to do there, and then they leave. If they start parking too many cars or start parking in front of other garages, we notice that. We're there every day, and we try to get people to adjust, you know, what they're bringing in. But we haven't had problems with parking there, so that we actually rent out those extra spaces we have.
I don't have any further questions for Mr. McFadden. Just note that Mr. McFadden is the record owner of the property and would be renting to Ms. Everett's and the LLC that would run the daycare center.
Okay.
I do have just one question for Mr. McFadden. You had provided us before kind of like a master list of your tenants. Could you provide us with another one just with everything updated? Like I'm assuming the marketing firm is no longer there.
Nope.
Yeah. So if you could just since there is a change in tenants, if you could just provide us another kind of master list, like how you had before, that way we can just make sure we have everything up to date.
You're just talking about the commercial tenants in the commercial buildings. I mean, the
Yeah.
storage units, you don't want each individual storage customer.
Yeah, no, just, you know, you say you have your storage units, that's fine. I'm assuming you don't have any employees that are technically there. You just kind of drive by, make sure everything's okay. Yeah. So yeah, so you'll just say you have the storage, you know, the one daycare that's already there, and then a proposed daycare, and then if you happen to have any other tenant in there.
Well, would I be able to clear up a couple of questions that happened earlier in the meeting?
Surely,
Yes.
go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Someone mentioned Bear Park, that's across the river. I would imagine is several thousand feet away. Someone mentioned the Tivoli Beneficial Association, that is closer. That's not directly across the street. It's across the street and then, you know, maybe 150 yards down. I don't believe their hours intersect that much. There is the daycare on our property that is actually even closer to that club. And yes, there are a proposal for a second daycare at the same facility. The daycare that is there is full or basically full at all times. They express interest in taking over this space as well. But due to the cost of them setting up the one that they have, they declined. I tried to rent this space for probably about a year, and I either got proposals that were not appropriate professional proposals, or I got daycare proposals, and I turned down probably 4 to 6 daycares to avoid having 2 daycares. And then after I realized after about a year that we weren't going to get this thing rented out, that's when Omega called me, and I gave her the opportunity to put in a daycare that offers some other opportunities that the other daycare on site doesn't offer. And my last thing would be that this property was Abilities in Motion years ago. Both top and bottom floor Abilities in Motion was operated out of here.
Okay, thank you for that information.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anybody else have any questions? Anybody have anything they would like to add? All right, that closes this appeal. We'll issue a decision at next month's meeting. You need not be here. A decision will be mailed to you. Before we close, Jared, I'd like you to introduce yourself. We missed you at the beginning of the meeting.
Jared Bartz, member of the board, who is having technical issues getting on Zoom.
That's all part of it. We've had cats and everything else, so that's it. All right, that closes our meeting for February. I was just thinking, since today's Valentine's Day, of an old rock and roll song. If you can't be with the one you love, love the one you're with. And I'll leave you with that thought. Anyway, have a good evening, everybody. Mr. Price, I let it up to you to decide about a workshop or anything like that.
What do you guys want to do? You want to have a workshop?